Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 20, Madhya Lila, chapter 20. The Lord instructs Sanatana Goswami, otherwise known as Sanatana Ch.Ch. We are reading about the pramans for a legitimate, authentic descent of the Lord, avatar. Proofs, praman means proofs. There's different pramans in traditionally Vedic pramans. Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda. Scriptural pramans. So these apply in various areas of what you call epistemology, knowledge, understanding knowledge, including the descent of avatars, the descent of the Lord. Why? Because anyone can decide that they're an avatar, and what measure do we have to judge the authenticity of such a person's claim? Well, the scripture is there to help us in this regard. So, Mahaprabhu has covered that, and he has, the last verse from yesterday was a statement that the Lord's pre-youth, Ch.Ch. has been translated as pre-youth. He continues to exist eternally to perform his rasa dance and other pastimes in the pre-youth. We'll continue here. Ei mata sabalila yena Gangadhara se lila prakata kare brajendra kumara. Thus the Lord's pastimes are like flowing Ganges water. In this way, all the pastimes are manifested by the son of Maharaj Nanda. Krame balya poganda kaishorata prapti rasa adi lila kare kaishore nityastiti. Lord Sri Krishna exhibits his pastimes of childhood, boyhood and pre-youth. When he reaches pre-youth, he continues to exist eternally to perform his rasa dance and other pastimes. Nitya lila krishnera sarva shastrekaya bhujetena pare lila kemane nityahaya. Descriptions of Krishna's eternal pastimes are in the revealed scriptures, but one cannot understand how they are continuing eternally. Dristanta diya kahe tabelo kayadi jane Krishna lila nitya jyotish chakra pramane. Let me give you an example by which people may understand Lord Krishna's eternal pastimes. An example can be found in the zodiac. Jyotish chakra. Jyotish chakre surya yena pire ratri dine sapta dvipam buddhi langi pire krame krame. The sun moves across the zodiac and day and night and crosses the oceans between the 7 islands, one after the other. Ratri dine haya shasti danda parimana tina sahasra chaya shata palataramana. According to the Vedic astronomical calculations, the rotation of the sun consists of 60 dandas, and it is divided into 36 palas. Suryodaya haite shasti palakramodaya se eka danda asta dande praharahaya. The sun rises in steps consisting of 60 palas. 60 palas equal 1 danda, and 8 dandas comprise 1 prahara. Eka dui tina chare prahare astahaya chare prahara ratri gele puna suryodaya. Day and night are divided into 8 praharas, 4 belonging to the day and 4 belonging to the night. After 8 praharas, the sun rises again. Ch.Ch Krishnara Lila Mandala Choda Manvantare Brahmanda Mandala Vyape Krame Krame Pire. Just like the sun, there is an orbit of Krishna's pastimes, which are manifest one after the other. During the lifetime of 14 Manus, this orbit expands through all the universes, and gradually it returns. Thus Krishna moves with his pastimes throughout all the universes, one after another. Sao Yashata Vatsara Krishnara Prakata Prakasha Taha Yaiche Brajapure Karila Bilasa. Krishna remains within the universe for 125 years, and he enjoys his pastimes both in Vrindavan and Dwaraka. Alata Chakra Praya Se Lila Chakra Pire Saba Lila Saba Brahmande Krame Udaya Kare. The cycle of his pastimes turns like a wheel of fire. Thus, Krishna exhibits his pastimes one after the other in every universe. Janma Balya Poganda Kaishora Prakasha Putana Vadadi Kare Moshalanta Bilasa. Krishna's pastimes, appearance, childhood, boyhood and youth are all manifest, beginning with the killing of Putana and extending to the end of Mosala Lila, the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. All of these pastimes are rotating in every universe. Kona Brahmande Kona Lila Rahaya Avashtana Tate Lila Nitya Kahe Agama Purana. Since all Krishna's pastimes are taking place continuously at every moment, some pastime is existing in one universe or another. Consequently, these pastimes are called eternal by the Vedas and Puranas. All of Krishna's pastimes taking place continuously. Goloka Gokula Dhamma Vibhu Krishna Sama Krishna Chaya Brahmanda Gane Tahara Sankrama. The spiritual abode known as Goloka, which is a pasturing land for Surabhi cows, is as powerful and opulent as Krishna. By the will of Krishna, the original Goloka and Gokul Dhams are manifested with him in all the universes. Ataiva Golokastane Nitya Vihara Brahmanda Gane Krame Prakatya Tahara. The eternal pastimes of Krishna are continuously taking place in the original Goloka Vrindavan planet. These same pastimes are gradually manifest within the material world in each and every Brahmanda. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur elucidates this complicated explanation of Krishna's pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are always present in the material world in one of the many universes. These pastimes appear in the universes one after the other, just as the sun moves across the sky and measures time. Krishna's appearance may be manifest in this universe at one moment, and immediately after his birth, this pastime is manifest in the next universe. After his killing of Putana is manifested in this universe, it is manifest in another universe. Thus, the pastimes of Krishna are eternally existing in the original Goloka Vrindavan planet and in the material universes. The 125 years calculated in our solar system to be Krishna's lifetime equal 1 moment for Krishna. 1 moment, these pastimes are manifested in one universe, and the next moment they are manifested in the next universe. There are unlimited universes, and Krishna's pastimes are manifested 1 moment after the other in all of them. This rotation is explained through the example of the suns moving across the sky. Krishna appears and disappears in innumerable universes, just as the sun appears and disappears during the day. Although the sun appears to rise and set, it is continuously shining somewhere on the earth. Although Krishna's pastimes seem to appear and disappear, they are continuously existing in one Brahmanda or another. Thus all of Krishna's Leelas are present simultaneously throughout the innumerable universes. By our limited senses we cannot appreciate this. Therefore Krishna's eternal pastimes are very difficult for us to understand. One should try to understand how they are taking place by understanding the allegory of the sun. Although the Lord is appearing constantly in the material universes, His pastimes are eternally present in the original Goloka Vrindavan. Therefore, these pastimes are called Nitya Leela, eternally present. Because we cannot see what's going on in other universes, it's a little difficult for us to understand how Krishna is eternally manifesting His pastimes. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and this time calculation is also taking place in other universes. Krishna's pastimes are manifested before 14 Manus expire. Although it is a little difficult to understand the eternal pastimes of Krishna in this way, we must accept the verdict of the Vedic literatures. There are two types of devotees: the sadhaka, who is preparing for perfection, and the siddha, who is already perfect. As far as those who are already perfect are concerned, Bhagavad Gita says, Tyaktva punar janma naitimam iti sorjuna. After giving up this material body, such a devotee comes to me. After leaving the material body, the perfect devotee takes place in the womb of a gopi on a planet where Krishna's pastimes are going on. This may be in this universe or another universe. This statement is found in the Ujjvala Nilamani, which is commented upon by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When a devotee becomes perfect, he is transferred to the universe where Krishna's pastimes are taking place. Krishna's eternal associates go wherever Krishna manifests his pastimes. As stated before, first the father and mother of Krishna appear, then the other associates. Quitting his material body, the perfect devotee also goes to associate with Krishna and his associates. Brajje Krishna Savaishvarya Prakashe Purnatama Pure Dvaye Paravyome Purnatara Purna. Krishna is complete in the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha. He is more complete in Mathura and Dwarka, and he is most complete in Vrindavan, Braja, due to his manifesting all his opulences. Sarva Aishwarya Prakashe, the full expression of his Aishwarya, opulences. God, the opulences of Vrindavan are different to the opulences of Vaikuntha, but they include those of Vaikuntha. Says Madhura Ras includes all the other rasas preceding it. Shanta through to Vatsalya are all included in Madhura Ras. So Vrindavan, the home of Madhura Ras, is the Sarva Aishwarya Prakashe, the complete manifestation of Bhagavan's opulences. Bhagavan means the possessor of all opulences. So when those opulences are in full expression mode, that is Vrindavan, Krishna Leela in Vrindavan. This verse, of course, is also reflected in the Upadeshamrita. Vaikuntaj Janita Vaikuntaj Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad Brindaranyam Udarapari Ramana Tatrapi Govidana Radhakundam Ihapi Gokula Pate Premamrita Plavanat Kura Dasya Vajajato Giritate Sevam Vivikinaka. Gradation. Krishna is complete in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntaj Janitovara Madhupuri is another name for Mathura. He is more complete in Vrindavan. Hari Purnatama Purna Tara Purna Iti Trida Shrestha Madhya Vidhi Shabder Natyeya Paripatyate. This is stated in the dramatic literatures as perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. Thus Lord Krishna manifests himself in three ways: perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. Prakashita kila guna smrita purna tamo buddhai asarva vyanjakaha purna tada purnol padarshakaha. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not manifest all his transcendental qualities, he is called complete. When all the qualities are manifest but not fully, he is called more complete. When he manifests all his qualities in fullness, he is called most complete. This is the version of all the learned scholars in the devotional science. So it's somewhat paradoxical that Krishna can not be fully expressing his opulences, but still be known as Purna, complete. Krishnasya Purnata Mata Vyaktabud Gokulantare Purnata Rata Dvaraka Mathura Dishu. The most complete qualities of Krishna are manifest within Vrindavan, and his complete and more complete qualities are manifest in Dwarka and Mathura. E Krishna Braje Purnatama Bhagavan Arasaba Svarupa Purnatara Purnanam. Lord Krishna is the most complete Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan. Elsewhere, all his expansions are either complete or more complete. Shankshepe kahilun Krishnera Swarupa Vichara Ananta kahite nare ihara vistara. Thus I have briefly described Krishna's manifestation of transcendental forms. This subject matter is so large that even Lord Ananta cannot describe it fully. Ananta Swarupa Krishnera nahi ka ganana Shakha Chandra Nyaye Kare Digdarashana. In this way, Krishna's transcendental forms are expanded unlimitedly. No one can count them. Whatever I have explained is simply a little glimpse. It is like showing the moon through the branches of a tree. Ihaye Shuni Pare Se Bhagavan Krishnara Swarupa Tatvera Hayakit Jugyan. Whoever hears or recites these descriptions of the expansions of Krishna's body is certainly a very fortunate man. Although this is very difficult to understand, one can nonetheless acquire some knowledge about the different features of Krishna's body. Krishnara Swarupa Tattva. Praying, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Padayara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. And the next chapter, chapter 21, entitled The Opulence and Sweetness of Lord Krishna. And this is the chapter in which Mahaprabhu gets carried away in ecstatic love for Krishna, as often happens, as is often documented, frequently documented in the literatures concerning Mahaprabhu.
He's still talking to Sanatan.
This is still Sanatan Shiksha. Sanatan Shiksha covers another chapter or two. So, chapter 1, 21,
So
20, 21, 22.
And that's all to Sanatan Goswami.
Yes. Mahaprabhu spent 2 months talking to Sanatan Goswami. So a lot of material was covered. A lot of ground was covered. 10 days. Mahaprabhu spoke to Rupa Goswami for 10 days. And a little longer to Sanatan Goswami. So that is the end of chapter 20. The Lord instructs Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Shiksha. So he's still instructing Sanatan Goswami. And this chapter, the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna, is concerning Krishna, directly well, the title of the chapter describes it. Krishna's opulences and his personal beauty and charm. The exquisiteness of his personal form and the opulences that he possesses, the powers and the other features concerning Krishna directly. Yes, so we have a different meter that starts later in this chapter. We're not going to get to it for another few days. Shari gopi manorate manmatera manamate namadare madana mohana Jini panchashara darpa svayam nava kandarpa rasa kare lana gopi gana. Mahaprabhu Jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. We'll read a little bit from Revealed Truth by Gurudev Srila Bhakti Sundagovinda Goswami Maharaj.
Sure.
This is the section entitled Pure Devotion, chapter The Transcendental Service World. So we'll just read a subchapter entitled Offering Everything to the Lord. So where we left off yesterday, Gurudev was talking about Yukta Vairagya, which means applied renunciation. Some people have heard it translated as intelligent renunciation, but the application of one's intelligence to renunciation. So not renouncing items that can be used, purposefully employed for the service of Krishna in bhakti. Why renounce such a thing? Yes, sir.
I heard that. I also heard someone translate Yukta Vairagya as a protector.
Protector.
Yeah.
As someone who protects.
Yeah.
I understood Yukta Vairagya was a verb. Something that's done.
Or maybe Vairagya. So realistically, it really can't be.
Would it be a verb or not? God, I'm no grammarian. But anyway, a concept. A concept that is used to describe how a devotee does not just dryly renounce the environment, but harnesses it in their service.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about yesterday, Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak, Sri Deva Goswami Maharaj, talks about exploitation, renunciation, dedication. 3 planes, right? And the difference between renunciation and dedication, you go, well, renunciation means vairagya. That means renunciation. So what's the difference between yukta vairagya and vairagya? Well, that's the difference between the planes of renunciation and the planes of dedication. So you get both are actually practicing renunciation, but one is renouncing the spirit to enjoy the environment and dedicating those environmental resources to Krishna's service. So it actually goes, there is an inner renunciation of personal desire to exploit and an inner desire to dedicate that, offer that to Krishna out of love, and that's yukta vairagya. That's renunciation, but with a spirit of actually dedicating that item that you're inwardly renouncing, internally I should say renouncing, but offering it to Krishna. So there's no spirit of exploitation, which means there's an element of vairagya, but there's also a dedication of that item to Krishna. So it's yukta vairagya. Rupa Goswami's concept of yukta vairagya. And yesterday we quoted the composition, which is almost like a slogan for the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. It's almost like our motto, Matala Harijana Kirtana Range, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bange, composed by Saraswati Thakur. And originally that was Matala Harijana Vishaya Range. Now Vishaya means interaction with the environment with an enjoying tendency. But Saraswati Thakur includes it in the couplet, Matal Hari Jana Vishaya Range, because it shows that even though the devotee seems to be interacting with the environment as a sense enjoyer would, as a common exploiter, a materialist would, still that is in a spirit of Yukta Vairagya. So they're interfacing with the environment, but they're offering all of the items in the environment, all the environmental resources are being offered to Krishna. And while they're doing that, they're doing so in the Vidhi Marg under rules and regulations, but with keeping the Raga Marg, keeping the spontaneity, devotional spontaneity, heart-centered devotional spontaneity, keeping that as an objective. Yukta Vairagya. So that's what Gurudev was talking about yesterday. So what was your point?
No, I'm just asking because I heard someone translate it as protector of devotion.
Oh, I see. Well, protector of devotion is Bhakti Rakshak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different term. Guardian of devotion. Raksha means to protect. So, Yukta Vairagya, there's no mention of Bhakti in there. But, of course, it's applied in the Bhakti process. Mm-hmm. But it's a concept which relates to utilizing of the material energy. It's a very abstract concept. But you can say items that would usually be used for, usually be exploited. By exploited we mean just, most people wouldn't even see it as exploitation. Most people simply see it as their hunt for pleasure. And that the resources of the environment are there to facilitate their pursuit of pleasure. They don't see any other alternative. They're following their conditioned instincts like an animal. That's why the Prabhupada called society polished cats and dogs. Because they're following drives that they're not even aware of, they're not even aware of alternatives to the drives. Like a tiger is not, or animal, or any animal, is not aware of a reality or alternatives to the instincts that impel them to do whatever they do for those four objectives of eating, sleeping, reproducing, and fighting. Those are the four categories of activity. And an animal is unable to introspect and as to why they are being compelled to pursue these four objectives: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, as Prabhupada said. Defending is like fighting. They fight for their right to do these things. If you watch animals, they fight for their right to mate. They fight for their right to eat. Eating, sleeping, mating, and fighting. And so a human being who is also compelled by their instincts and their search for happiness, doing the same things, finding pleasure through food, finding pleasure through eating, sleeping, and fighting for their right to do these things, then there is no concept of an interaction with the environment for any other purpose other than it providing them with some immediate pleasure. But as Guru Maharaj says, a person after a while realizes that there's no permanent satisfaction, there's no substantial pleasure coming from such a pursuit, from the animal life, and that the human existence offers potential for happiness so much greater than that. So someone realizes this and they might renounce. They go, oh, right, okay, I'm going to renounce. I'm not going to continue touching the fire. But the Vaishnav method is the Yukta Vairagya, the applied renunciation, where you renounce the spirit of exploitation, but the engagement with the environment does not stop, except the motivation is not to exploit, but rather to dedicate it in service, in bhakti. That's the very premise of bhakti. Dedication of the environmental resources in devotion to Krishna. Anyway, Gurudev is making this point. So I'll read the last paragraph of the last sub-chapter. The devotional part, just to recap. The devotional path is different than the yoga path. In the devotional path, desire, the senses, and their functions are controlled by engaging them in the Lord's service. This is yukta vairagya. In devotional life, the senses are automatically controlled through service. It is not necessary to try to control them ourselves directly in a pushing way. This is Gurudev's way of saying to harshly cut off the interaction of the senses with their environment. It's quite a harsh thing. I'm going to stop eating. I'm going to try and just live on prana eventually. Or whatever else it might be, the senses are wanting to interact with the environment. They interface constantly with the environment, the five senses. So to cut them off in a pushing way, harshly shut off our interaction with the environment is not the way of bhakti. Rather, Gurudev says, we must try to use the senses and our desires in the Lord's service and satisfaction. Offering everything to the Lord. Srila Narottam Thakur has explained how we can properly practice this. Kama Krishna Kamarpane Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane Lobha Sadhu Sange Harikata Moha Ishta Labha Vine Mada Krishna Gunagane Niyukta Kariba Yata Tata. And that's from Prema Bhakti Chandrika 210. Kama Krishna Kamarpane. If you have many desires in your mind, then you can offer the things you desire to Krishna before you take them. Krodha Bhakti Dveshi Jani. If you feel angry, then you can use your anger to check persons who are inauspicious and envious of the devotees. You feeling angry? I'm feeling angry and I'm going to go out and check some people that are not to be taken out of context, not to be abused. Lobha sadhu sange harikata. You can engage your greed in hearing the glories and pastimes of the Lord from the sadhus. Actually, the employing of anger in the service of Krishna, examples given are those who have fought for Krishna, such as Arjuna, Hanuman. Hanumanji is an example of the application of righteous anger. That is real righteous anger. We hear of, righteous anger being expressed by reformers or even politicians, right? Talking about expressing righteous anger towards their opponents. It's generally misguided righteous anger, or probably even mock righteous anger. But real righteous anger is anger used in the service of Krishna by protecting the devotees, protecting other devotees. As I said, the devotee doesn't have too much concern regarding their own personal protection. But when it comes to the protection of their fellow devotees, then they can be as hard as a thunderbolt. Lobha sadhu sange harikata. You can engage your greed in hearing the glories and pastimes of the Lord from the sadhus. Mada Krishna gunagane. You can engage your desire for intoxication in madly glorifying the Lord and His devotees. Madly glorifying the Lord and His devotees. Moha ishta labhevine. If you have not connected with your worshipful master, then you can try to realize why that is and can express your hankering in a bewildered way, like Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Narottam Thakur advises us how to engage our internal enemies in Krishna's service. We all have desires that we are suffering from, but if we engage them in the service of Guru, Vaishnava and Bhagavan with our full energy, then they will be controlled automatically. Everything we struggle with in our life can be good if we use it properly for Krishna's service. Very important point. Very important point, because it's very practical. It's not just a theoretical instruction. Everything we struggle with in life can have good effect if we use it in Krishna's service. This is our hope. When our enemies, lust, anger, greed, and so on, come to us, we can invite them in. Come here and pay dandavat pranam to the deity. You are already coming, so come and offer yourself to the deity. The practicing procedure of Bhakti Yoga is very sweet. And finally, Vidyate hridayagrantis chidyante sarva samshayah kshiyante chasya karmani maye driste kilatmani. All of the material desires in our hearts will be removed. All of our doubts will be finished. And we will engage ourselves exclusively in the Lord's service, seeing Him everywhere. Such Bhagavat Darshan, divine vision of the Lord, is both very easy and very rare to attain. Tad dure, tad vantike. The Lord is very far from us if we are not surrendered or dedicated, but the Lord is very near to us if we are surrendered and dedicated. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Guru Dev Ki Jai. You want to sing Hari Haraya, Prabhu? Hari Haraya.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Giridhari Gopinath Namahan.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri
Chaitanya Chandra Radhara Shiva Parikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhara Ji Ki Jai, Jai Vishnupad. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Guru Dev Ki Jai, Jai Vishnupad. Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Var Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Samveda Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Man Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Jai Gopal Prabhu Ki